another beautiful day to be a Raider, draped in the silver and black. I represent the shield. I represent the swords. It's that time of night again, Raider Nation. And you've come back. Why? Because it's time. It's time to bring the...
What's up, Raider Nation? I'm the Commish, coming to you live from Hardcore Challenge Live Studios. Where is that at, might you ask? Well, it's this little place down the street and around the corner that we like to call deep behind the enemy line. This is Raider Reaction. What's up? Happy fucking Monday. I hope your Monday was alright. Mine wasn't too bad. Monday coming out of a weekend with no Raider football. That's just not a good weekend to have. A weekend with no Raider football. But there was football this weekend. We will get to that. We will get to that. But it is Monday. And as we do every Monday and Wednesday on Raider Reaction, we drop back deep in the pocket and let it fly league-wide, as we will touch on all the Hot League stories, the 4 games that took place this weekend, as well as the Hot Raider Nuggets, because, you know, we got to stay up to date on, you know, what's going on in the silver and black. Of course, make sure you tune in tomorrow night, as it's a solid hour of everything 60 minutes, as we'll have the Raider Nation report. And as some of you have mentioned, the big news, obviously, on the Raider Nation report tomorrow night will be whatever takes place as we officially bring back Chucky. Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back. That's tomorrow, noon Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern. Tomorrow, live on Raiders.com. We will also have it live right here. We will have the feed shared live up here on Raider Reaction. So if for some reason you can't get to their page, or you'd just rather watch it on ours, we'll have it up for you too. Because obviously, it's the biggest damn news going on in Raider Nation today. John Gruden is returning back. Obviously, you know, anybody that follows the page or, you know, has watched the shows knows I've had a little mixed emotion about the whole ordeal. I've had a week to process it. I've come around to the fact Gruden's the man. He's the man going forward. I've come around to that. I think it was more the whole situation of the way Jack left, and it just the whole thing was just dirty, and I just didn't like the way it went down. I thought it was classless. I thought it could have been handled better. But Sarah, that's in the past. We've moved on. He's just now another piece of Raider lore, and the future is at our doorstep right now. Tomorrow, noon. Gruden's back. Now, yes, he's been away from coaching. Now, since I've accepted the fact that he is the man going forward and he is going to be our coach, I have tried to now look. Because those of you that followed me through the season know that I am just about damn near one of the most optimistic Raider fans you're going to find. I am keep hope alive until you are eliminated. I always think every week we're going to win. So to say I'm not an optimistic Raider fan is bullshit. So this one just, it was just a tough pill to swallow for me on the cusp of coming out of the season that was such a lackluster. Didn't finish the way we should have. Finished 6-10. Our coach gets fired. And, it just... And then all the Gruden talk right on top of it. That was just like a cherry on top of a shit sundae. And I wasn't ready to have that cherry yet. I was still eating my shit sundae. Now, after eating that shit sundae, I should appreciate the cherry for what it is. It's a cherry on top. It's a nice, sweet little. So, I've turned my sights now on why we shouldn't have got Gruden and how I thought we spent too much money on him, because I don't need to talk about that anymore. I'll put that out there. But there's an analogy. So I've turned my eye and I've started to look at the reasons why Gruden can possibly be the man that we need right now. And honestly, I started to change my own mind. On Black Friday, and if you didn't watch it, you should go back and watch it. Check the video tab on RAIDER ReACTIon and go back and watch it. Unfortunately, it got disconnected. We had to do it in 2 parts. But go watch last week's Black Friday episode. I went and dug into the RAIDER archives and found the full game footage of the last time John Gruden walked an Oakland Raiders sideline. Not his last game, but the last time he was in Oakland on his home turf, coaching the Raiders, walking the sideline. It was the 2001 wild card game against the Jets. Obviously, the next game was the Tuck Rule, Gruden's last game. Watching that game, I noticed the drastic differences between Jack Del Rio and John Gruden. Now, I'm not in the locker room. I'm not at practice. I don't know what's going on there. But man, the way a field general works a sideline, it's like an orchestra. It's like a conductor working an orchestra. John Gruden was prowling the sideline. He was challenging his players. He was what the fucking referees. He was up and down that sideline. He was intense. But when they talked to him at half, his voice was almost gone. Del Rio would just stand there. So I see the difference. I see the difference. And watching that game Black Friday with all of the Raider Nation that we had, and man, we had a huge crowd for Black Friday. That thing got like 12,000 views. And we had, it was like 100 to 150 streamed live the whole time. So we had a nice crowd. And sitting and watching that game, the 2001 wild card game, and watching how John Gruden orchestrates an offense. He's like a conductor of an orchestra on the sideline. And he is, man, I preached it I would say the last third of the season, that we need intensity. Somebody needs to be that guy that grabs the guy by the face mask. We need that guy. And John Gruden has always been that guy. He is the intense. He will hold players accountable. There will be none of this BS you're hearing in the locker room. I'm starting to bring myself around. And I think the reason I was just so reluctant to accept it at first was I didn't like the way Jack was released. But now that I've dealt with that, we're a week removed from that, now it's time to look to the future. And John Gruden is the future. And if we're going to pay the man, the Raiders are paying the man $10 million for 10 years. You're willing to pay the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and be one of the highest paid staffs in the league. Raider Nation, what else can you say? Can you not be happy that our ownership is spending the money? And as the old adage goes, they're putting their money where their mouth is. There's not only saying, hey, we're building the roster to win a Super Bowl. Last year we brought all the free agents in to win a Super Bowl. It didn't work out. Didn't work out. Look across this roster. What do you see? Talent from top to bottom. So it's not that the talent is not there. It's not that the talent is not on the team. This is not the team that went through the 14 years of suck. This is a different team. This is a team with talent without a leader. So what did our ownership do? I know there's a long line of people that want to take pot shots at Mark Davis because, you know, he's got a goofy haircut and shit, and he, you know, whatever. But it is what it is. He's the owner of the Raiders. He is head Raider. And head Raider is putting his money where his mouth is. And he's saying, you know what? We got the talent on this team. I'm going to go out and I'm going to throw the freaking coin on the table and I'm going to get the best goddamn coach that we can get. Not only am I going to go out and get the best coach that we can get, I'm going to go get the guy that a large percentage of Raider Nation wants to have back. And I'm going to go get John Gruden. Because you know what? You would have went and dropped that kind of coin on Brian Billick's table. A man who has the same kind of pedigree as John Gruden, except with one team? You telling me you don't go drop that kind of coin on Brian Billick's table that he wouldn't highly consider coming out of the booth as well? You go drop that kind of coin on Bill Cowher's table and give him the kind of power you're about to give Gruden that he wouldn't want it? No. Our owner didn't do that. He went and got a man that he knew Raider Nation wanted. Like it or love it. At some point, you got to give Mark Davis some props. At some point. I know he's got a goofy-ass haircut, but, you know, he is head Raider. Al Davis has been gone since 2011. We all rep the shield. We bleed silver and black. We got to cut the owner a little slack. Because what I've seen is a guy who's putting his money where his mouth is. And he is going all in for 2018. That makes me happy. I've sat back and thought about it this weekend as I sit and I watch other teams play. Yeah, we're on our fucking couch. We're on our couch watching the playoffs. And you know what? I don't like it. And I know the rest of you don't like it either. And we don't want to be on the goddamn couch in 2018. Because being in the playoffs last year, it felt good to be back in the playoffs. Even though I knew we was probably going to lose, it still felt good to be there. It felt good to watch the playoff lead-up shows. And they were talking about the Raiders. It felt good that when the season stopped, we weren't forgotten like it had been for 14 years. Now, we were back. Then we slipped a little. Now, the rumors are out that Greg Olsen is going to be the offensive coordinator and that it's just a matter of an official announcement. So, like it or not, sounds like Greg's coming back. Now, positives on Greg. We all know the negatives. Positives on Greg. He's got a rapport with Carr. And what is Greg really going to be? Except a puppet. He's a nice fit for John Gruden's hand up his ass. He's going to be a puppet at offensive coordinator. Because Gruden is ultimately going to help the game plan, the play calling. So his responsibility is probably going to be be in the ear of Derek Carr, make sure Derek Carr's happy, be the that when Derek Carr comes to the sideline, this is the guy that's going to sit next to him. This is the guy that's going to talk. Because Gruden's not going to have that time. I don't see him as the total play caller. I think Gruden's going to be in his ear. So we'll see. I could be wrong. Maybe he hands the offensive reins to him. But I find that very hard for a guy who prides himself as an offensive guru to not call the plays himself. Well, hand in hand. Hand in hand. Whose hand do you think is holding the other one? They may be hand in hand, but one's leading, the other's following. So they may be holding hands, but one's leading and one's following. And Greg Olsen will be following and doing whatever John Gruden wants him to do. Which I believe is why he's bringing Greg Olsen in. He's got a good rapport with him, and he's got a history with Carr. I think he wants to bring somebody in who DC is comfortable with. Now, the other rumor that's supposed to be dropped tomorrow is Paul Guenther, defensive coordinator, coming over from the Bengals. Now, we've also heard positional coach rumors, which got Raider Nation all salivating. You hear Rich Gannon as quarterback coach, possibly, in the ear of DC. We've all heard Charles Woodson. You've seen Charles out there on the field running around saying, hey, man, I've still got it. He talks of him as defensive back coach being brought back into the fold. It seems like Gruden may want to bring as much of the old gang back together to possibly make a run in a different capacity at that ring, at that trophy that they never got back in the late 90s, early 2000s. It's an interesting theory. And after tomorrow, things are going to start popping. Because it's not going to take long before... And I wouldn't be surprised that right after the Gruden announcement, you don't start to see other announcements trickling in possibly later in the day tomorrow. Man, can't nobody... Come on, Josh. That guy's mom can't even stop himself from being an asshole. Burfeck's mom can't stop him from being... His grandma can't stop him from being... Can't nobody stop Vontaze Burfict from being an asshole. He's just an asshole. There's nothing you can do about that. You can't pin that on the defensive coordinator. That guy's just an asshole. I mean, come on. At some point, a guy's got to stand on his own 2 feet. And he's standing on his own 2 feet as a gigantic prick. There's no doubt about it. He's a Pro Bowl prick. Vontaze Burfict. That's for damn sure. I liked the idea of having Rod Woodson back there, coaching the safeties and D-backs last season, helping out. But when you've got a defensive coordinator that's not meshing in well, and you don't know how much he's dictating to the guys that are under him, and it's just hard to, until you get, it could just been one piece of the puzzle that was wrong. So maybe you don't need to change everything. And like I said, after tomorrow at noon when the announcement's made, you're going to start to see these signings trickle in quick, because right now these guys are all out. Applications are out. They're all looking for jobs. They're all looking to get signed to teams, and they're not going to leave these guys on the market. If Gruden wants them, Mark Davis is willing to pay their ass, he's going to get them. And he's going to get who he wants. Rex Ryan as defensive coordinator. Now, that's an interesting... You know what, Daniel? I think Rex likes it in the booth, and I don't know if he would come out of the booth unless it was for a head coaching position. I honestly don't. And I don't think he's going to go in the broadcasting booth either. I think he likes it more in the studio. So, I don't know. Rex is interesting, because they do obviously come from a great defensive pedigree. But I don't think I could. No, I don't think I could groove on Rex Ryan as the Raiders defensive coordinator. I don't think I can groove on that. You know, I'm not sold on Gunther either. Well, who wouldn't? Chocolate waterfall? Psh, shit. I'll leave right now. No. So I would say, like I said, noon tomorrow. It's the big announcement. You're going to start to see stuff trickle out. I would not be shocked if defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator aren't named as well tomorrow, directly after, or even in conjunction with, you know, maybe Gruden has his announcement, steps up, says his thing, and then he announces his offensive and defensive coordinator. Who knows? I agree, Daniel. I thought Pagano did some good things too down the stretch. But the thing is, he's kind of like Hugh Jackson was when you had the new regime coming in, general manager. There's a new sheriff in town. There's a new guy coming in, and he's going to clean house, and he's going to handpick all of his own guys. So it's not that Pagano didn't do well. And you know what Pagano did? He put together one hell of a resume. Because he was a top 5 defense for the last 5 weeks of the season. He put together a hell of a resume for when he's going out and auditioning for new teams. That's what Pagano did for himself. Because, unfortunately, he wasn't looking too good before then as he was running hand in hand with Norton and the defense looked like shit. But as soon as he was given the reins, the defense turned around. Nobody's locked in. Nobody's locked in, Josh. Nobody's locked in. Gannon's been very coy. He's had lots of interviews because obviously his name's been thrown around, but he's been very coy. Nobody has come out and said anything. Gruden obviously was finally pinned down this weekend because he was put on the spot on the playoff game. They wanted to do his farewell. Obviously that's his employer. His employer knows who his new employer is going to be. It is what it is. He's the Bengals defensive coordinator, so that's a fair question, Daniel. Is he any good? He's the Bengals defensive coordinator. I mean, so to me, he's somewhat of a wild card. But apparently, the powers that be now think he's better than what we had. I think Charles was joking about playing, but was serious about coaching. I think he wants to be part of what's going on. He's excited about the return of Gruden. Obviously, the playing was more of a, hey, I'm in great shape, look at me, but he ain't coming back, man. Come on, Charles is in the wine business, and he's loving life. He's chilling with his family, and you know, he's just chilling in the booth and getting to travel the country, and no. I say Charles is done on the field. Now on the sideline, that's a different story. Because a lot of the guys that were on the team from that era are very, very excited about the return of Gruden. Very excited about it. Now, let me switch gears. We will spin back to silver and black, but it is Ghost to the Post. Let me take a brief second, and thank you all for joining me. As always, I appreciate even a second of your time that you spend with me on Radio Reaction. I appreciate it because any second you're spending with me is a second you're not spending watching something else. So, thank you. I appreciate it, as always. And as we do every Monday and Wednesday on Radio Reaction, this is Ghost to the Post, where we drop back deep in the pocket, let it fly league-wide, so we touch on all the hot league topics. So, obviously, we did have 4 playoff games this weekend, so we got to touch on those a little bit. And I got some things to say, and I'm sure you guys got some things you would like to say as well. Now, Wednesday is Ghost to the Post, Silver and Black, Coast to Coast edition, where we touch on a little more of the Silver and Black, because I have my homie, NorCal Raider Rick, on me, as he splits the screen and holds it down with me. Prime will be back. Prime's just on a little hiatus right now. Prime will be back. I will tell him he was asked about Steve. He will be quite pleased to know that he wasn't forgotten. Because typically it is Prime with me on Mondays. Typically. Of course, tomorrow is the Raider Nation Report. Then on Thursday, I got a very special on-location interview over at a Gracie facility in Orlando. Member of the Orlando Raider Nation, who is has a professional kickboxing match this month. We're going to go over there, have a little live interview with him at his gym as he's getting ready. Little member of Raider Nation doing great things. And then we're going to be there and live stream at the event and try to get you some live ringside action on Raider Reaction on a Saturday night. A little fight night Saturday night for you coming later in the month. But we're going to, I'm going to follow along through his training. So stay posted to the page for that. I'm going to be posting that, but we're going to do that Thursday. Then, of course, Friday, I got a freaking classic. It's because now it's in the off season. That's when I really try to dig and find some crazy old archived classics for Black Friday. So make sure you tune in Friday because the off season Black Fridays, they're pretty good, man. They're pretty good. Because during the season I try to do the team that we're playing, and of course this last Friday with Gruden. No, it's not Jay. This is another gentleman. This isn't Jay. This guy's a professional kickboxer. This isn't an amateur bout. This is the real deal. This guy's, I believe, is one of the co-headliners of this fight. And but I'll be posting it all. We've got the graphics in the makes right now. So all that will be up, information and all that. But that's on Thursday night. I'm gonna be over there live. I'm gonna meet with him, a little live interview, and give you some live action in the gym. Now let's jump in to some wild card. Of course, we can take joy in the misery of others. I took a lot of joy, as I know a lot of Raider Nation did, as the Kansas City Chiefs got bounced after having a 21-3 lead. Oh, could it be any better as the home losing streak in the playoffs continues for the Queefs. Oh, it was great. Oh, it was so good, man. I thought there was I am not sold on Marcus Mariota at all. I thought there was not a chance in hell that they had a win in this game. I had picked the Queefs to win, didn't want them to win, but I thought they were going to win. But what a catastrophe. What a collapse in the second half of that game. They can blame whoever they want. They blame that fat jelly roll ass coach of theirs and the rest of their team that fell apart in the second half. You allowed yourself to get beat by goofy ass historic pass to himself play. And then, I mean, the whole thing is just, it's going to end up in some blooper reel of Chiefs history somewhere of just, like, what the hell, Queefs? You've invented a new way to suck. Do you realize the last time the Kansas City Queefs won in the playoffs was Joe fucking Montana? Joe Montana. Let that sink in for a minute. Joe Montana. Yeah. You made it, but you didn't get any more playoff wins this year than we did. You one and done fuckers that make the playoffs, you might as well have not even made it, because that barely even counts. So, Titans are moving on, only to move on to just go get freaking annihilated the next game. Because that's what's going to happen, unfortunately. We all know in the AFC it's going to come down to freaking Cheatriots and Squealers. We all know it. We just hope one of them doesn't win. But it's going to come down to them. Now, the other game on Saturday, which wasn't much of a game, man. The Rams, and I've been saying it for weeks, that these teams, these hot teams this year, the Rams, the Eagles, the Vikings, I don't believe in these teams. I've been saying it for weeks that I don't believe in these teams. They have no playoff experience, and their teams are too young. And so far, the first one that came up, gone. And I had been saying it for weeks. They don't have playoff experience, and they've got great records. The top 1 and 2 seeds in the NFC, I don't believe in either one of them. Not either one of them. I think the Eagles are done now that Wentz is gone. Other than the first game when Foles came out and threw, 3 or 4 touchdowns against the Giants? The Giants, who have nobody on defense. And then he didn't do jack the rest of the games coming out. So he is not ready for playoff football. Not ready for playoff football. I don't see it happening. I think they're a one and done. One and done. Just like the Rams. Now the Falcons. The Falcons are interesting. The Falcons are interesting. They're very interesting because, they're just wanting to get back, obviously, and avenge the catastrophic, epic, historic collapse. I'm curious, what is the score of that? Alabama is getting shut out. Get the hell out of here. 13-0. Well. Did Nick Saban's deal with the devil run out? He sold his soul. Yeah, he sold his soul or something. Ooh, 13-7. My computer must not have caught up yet. They must have just scored. They just scored. I was going to say, man, shut out. It's pretty late for Bama to be getting in but they've kept the score down, so obviously it's still, just popped up there. There you go. Obviously you got the minor league football championship going on right now. Of course, I spend most of my time on professional, although you do got that going on as well. I'm sure a lot of you guys are watching that. Now, the Falcons, they're an interesting team. We're really going to see what they've got next week. Next week's going to be the big challenge for them. That's really going to be the next challenge for them. So we're going to see if they can take that step and try to get back to avenge the collapse of last season. Now, one of the worst. So those were the games on Saturday. You coming out with the Falcons moving on in the NFC. Titans surprisingly moving on. Yeah, as I was saying, Jake, the Vikings. I'm concerned. I question the Vikings almost as much as I question the Eagles. But I question the Eagles a lot more now, obviously, since they lost Wentz. I kind of put them and the Rams, all three of those teams, in the same category. They're very young teams with very young quarterbacks with no playoff experience. Yes, they were all three doing great in the regular season. But the pressure, the anxiety, the tension, everything just gets turned up in the playoffs. It's all magnified. Because now when you make a mistake, you just ended your team's season. Now it's not just, we lost, we got a game next week. Like, no. You ended our season. And we're sitting around months now thinking about it because of you. So that's a whole different scenario. It's a whole different scenario. Now you got the Vikings. The one thing the Vikings got going for them is they've got a really, really good defense. And defense obviously wins games in the playoffs. But Case Keenum is the guy who concerns me. He is the guy that concerns me. And it comes down to playoff experience. Yes, he has done a good job thus far in the regular season. But man, it's the NFL playoffs. And you ain't got an easy matchup coming. you got the Saints. That ain't an easy matchup. They're my pick to win the NFC. And let's touch on that game before we jump back to the Vikings right quick. Because the Saints obviously had to get there by getting by the Panthers. Now, to me, I'm not sold on Cam Newton as a leader. And I feel in the playoffs you need to have a leader. Yes, he's a talented quarterback, but I don't feel he's that great leader that gets it done. And I think he peaked with his one Super Bowl appearance. And I don't think he'll ever get back there again. I think that's the only time you'll ever see Cam Newton in the Super Bowl. I don't think he'll ever get back again. Now the Saints, on the other hand, Drew Brees has the capability to drop 400 yards on you at any given time. Drew Brees has never really had that stellar running back, that hard banging running game. He had Darren Sproles, he had the gadget backs that he used on the Super Bowl run, but he didn't have Kamara and Ingram. So look what happened this weekend. Key to take out the two-headed running monster. It worked. They held both those guys to marginal yards. But guess what? Drew Brees dropped almost 400 yards on your ass. And that's what'll happen. Because you keyed on the run and opened up holes all over the field for Drew Brees. And I got a feeling... Where are you playing? Where's he going to play the Vikings? Minnesota? Oh, is it outside? Is it cold up there? So, Drew Brees likes to play in this thing called a dome. What do they got in Minnesota? Oh, a dome. Interesting. If you don't think that helps and sways things, Drew Brees, playoff experience in the NFL means something. Drew Brees is a proven Super Bowl champion NFL quarterback. Going against Case Keenum. I don't care how good their defense is. I'm taking the Saints, and I'm taking the Saints to win the NFC. Period. I think it'll be the Saints and Falcons in the NFC Championship game. Matty Ice Cold chokes it up in the playoffs again, and he doesn't even make it back to try and avenge. Now, in the AFC, we got the one game which was the worst fucking playoff game I have watched in a long time. And I have been saying it for weeks and weeks that the Jacksonville Jaguars are like this gigantic, powerful, massive snake of a defense that can constrict you and hold you and then do nothing with you because they've got no head. Because they got Blake Bortles at quarterback. He sucks. How he is an NFL quarterback? How you are telling me that Blake Bortles is one in 32 men in the entire country that is talented enough to start at quarterback? Blake fucking Bortles. Are you kidding me? He's one of 32 men in the entire country right now that can play starting quarterback in the NFL. You've got to be shitting me. Because that guy can't hit dick. He's all over the fucking place. He's high. He's low. He's behind him. He's in front of him. He's skipping the son of a bitch to him. He's terrible. He's terrible. Terrible. And, well, that's great. That little stat means nothing. Because he played the fucking Bills. He played a team that didn't even show up. He put up 3 points in a playoff game. 3 points? That game was painful to watch. Did anybody watch that game? I watched it because it was the first one on. Man. On Sunday, it was rough. That was a rough game. I've heard a lot of those same rumors, Bob, that about Alex Smith, that there's a little campaign, the Bills, to bring Alex Smith over to be their savior. Now, in the Panthers game, something happened. So I want to take that and hold on. Because a couple of you guys I did see, you want to see what my picks were for the Super Bowl. I gave my pick in the NFC. I believe it'll be Falcons and Saints in the NFC Championship game. Saints will move on. Obviously, in the AFC, freaking Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles can see it's going to be the Squealers and Cheatriots. I believe the Squealers win. And they bounce the Cheatriots, and it's a Squealers Saints Super Bowl. Saints win, grab their second Lombardi Trophy. That's my prediction. Saints win the Super Bowl this season. That's my prediction. Because I think the Saints, if they have to play outside in the cold, they can grind it out with the running game. That two-headed monster of running game, I think, is the one extra tool in the Swiss Army knife that Drew Brees has that will help get him there this season. And experience. Experience, man. Playoff experience means something. You just seen it last week when you see Goff go against Ryan. You seen the quarterback who had playoff experience and the one that didn't. You could tell the freaking difference. You could tell the difference in the Jacksonville Bills game because both quarterbacks fucking sucked. Why? Because neither one has had any playoff experience. And they looked like it. They were tense, they were all over the place, and they played terrible. I'm getting ready to go. That's the line I'm going to right now, Mike, which I was going to segue off of the Panthers-Saints game, because something bad happened in the Panthers-Saints game, as well as the Chiefs game. And it's the concussion protocol of the NFL is such a muddy and screwed up system that nobody even understands how it's supposed to work, how it's supposed to be fair. Nobody has any idea. Nobody has any idea. Michael, I am going to get into that tomorrow night on the Raider Nation Report. So I'm sorry. I'm gonna hang that teaser out there for you till tomorrow. But this concussion protocol, now you see, a couple weeks ago, Tom Savage basically damn near go into a seizure. We see our number one wide receiver basically on a play to win the game, doesn't even know why he's taken off the field on the last play of the game when we're right there in the red zone. When you know he's damn good possibility it's going to him. Then you got Cam Newton with some bullshit story about how the visor got in his eye and your vision got blurred because you got your fucking bell rung, bro. Have you seen the still picture of Cam Newton after the hit? Cam Newton and fucking Tweety birds flying around his head. Nobody was home, bro. Nobody was home. Visor in your eyes? My ass. My ass. So now let me put it out there for you. Hypothetical scenario. 10 seconds left in the game. Divisional round. Patriots have the ball in the 15. They're down by 6. Cornerback blitz from Tom Brady's blind side. He's hit. He's down. He's woozy. He's not getting up, man. It's a bad hit. Head bounced off the turf. They call a timeout. Have to help Tom up. They take him to the sidelines. Put him on the bench. They've got one play left. Or their season's over. 5 seconds on the clock. One play left. Tom Brady just got crushed and bounced his head off the turf the play before. Are you telling me the NFL sticks his ass in the fucking blue tent? Are you telling me that happens? And they're worried about player safety? You answer the question, Raider Nation. You telling me that with 5 seconds on the clock, after he just got his bell rung the play before, that for safety, they wouldn't allow Tommy Rice Cakes, their fucking golden boy of the league, to come back on the field? I bet you they do. I bet you they do. Just like they allowed Cam Newton to stay in the game. They wouldn't take him off the field. They would let him go in there and try to win the game. No way. Russell Wilson, earlier in the season, gets rocked. Everybody's seen him get rocked. He walks in the 10, he's in there like 1 or 2 seconds and comes right back out, goes right back on the field. The concussion protocol of the NFL is a smoke and fucking mirrors procedure. It's for them to look like they care. To give the false illusion that they give a shit. So that if it goes to court or they're sued again, they have now this history of BS that they can throw out there and say, oh, well, look at all of this stuff that we've done. We put the protocol in. We check them on the sidelines. We got an independent neurologist in the stand. Come on. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's just legal bullshit to save your ass in a lawsuit. That's all it is. It's a joke. It needs to change. These guys are putting their lives at risk. They're putting their brains at the chance of being scrambled. It's one thing to be tough and you took a shot to the guts, you got the wind knocked out of you a little bit, and you're sucking up and you go back out there. It's a different thing when you get freight trained by a 275-pound linebacker who bounced your goddamn melon off the turf and rattled your brain around inside your skull like a ping pong ball. At that point, you do not have the capacity anymore to decide what is best for you. You do not have the capacity to now decide if the best thing for you is to come back out and help your team try to win a game. You don't have that capacity anymore. Your faculties are now gone. That's why there needs to be a real protocol and a real procedure put in place. Not this fake-ass bullshit that they have right now. They need a real protocol and something really to help these guys to hopefully have some sort of quality of life after their career is over. Because the way it is right now, if you've seen that one still picture of Cam Newton, man, ain't nobody home. Ain't nobody home. And he never even went in the tent. He was allowed to come back out there. That's just wrong. The guy takes another hit. I mean, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. And yes, it's the playoffs. Yes, it is. But they're not going to make the best judgment for themselves when you are in that mental condition after an injury like that on the field. somebody has to be the one to make that decision. The coaches on the sidelines aren't. They're biased. They're trying to win the game. That's the only thing they care about at the time. And you can't even blame them in the heat of the moment. There has to be somebody that's there that doesn't give a shit about the outcome of the game. That is just there for safety. That's it. Because what they got going on right now, it's total bullshit. Total bullshit. Complete and total. It's a fucking farce. Now, those of you that have joined me before, those of you that haven't, when I'm on solo and I'm by myself doing an episode of Raider Reaction, and I don't have one of my co-hosts with me, I like to end my shows, the little segment I like to call the WTF. Tonight's WTF. Gonna go back to one of the shittiest playoff games I've ever seen. Bills at Jags. Now, the game was bad enough. But what was even worse was their fucking fans. Bills Mafia. My God. It's borderline abuse what these guys are doing to their women. They're tossing them through tables. Hell, the one guy I seen, the table moved, he damn near broke her neck driving her through the ground. They're jumping off of freaking mobile homes, off the top of vans, destroying the top of their cars. They're setting each other on fire. The city of Jacksonville is not happy with the way they left the condition of the city when they left. I guess they absolutely trashed the fucking place. Jacksonville had tried to slow down Bills Mafia and you could not buy folding tables in Jacksonville unless you had a local ID. If you had an out-of-state ID or possibly a Bills fan, you could not buy folding tables in Jacksonville. They were trying to curb what they knew was coming. But obviously, you cannot get in the way of stupidity. Drunken morons in a group will find a way to throw themselves through cheap furniture, obviously. They will find a way to powerbomb their significant other, who is half their body weight, into the ground. What in the goddamn hell is wrong with you people? And I've heard Bills Mafia say that they're a better fan base than the Raider Nation. On what fucking planet is this? At no point have I ever been at a football game and decided it'd be a good idea to pick my 100-pound wife up and powerbomb her through a fucking fiberglass table. In what world or capacity is that fun? Well, fuck it. Let's throw some flammable liquid on it and light that subbitch on fire. Let's do that. Because I've never practiced this feat before. I'm piss-ass drunk. There's a good possibility I could snap my fucking neck. I've never done this before, but I've had 6 beers. So let me go jump off my fucking mobile home. Everybody got your phones ready? Oh my God. You guys are morons. What the hell is wrong with you? It's quite entertaining. I mean, it's like watching a really low-budget version of Jackass. So it's quite entertaining. But the rest of us, it just makes us all sit back and say, Bills Mafia. What the fuck? Seriously. Oh, thank you for joining me. As always, I appreciate any second you spend with me. I want to thank all my team, Popeye, BC Raider, Captain Jack Rackham, Raider at Sister East, JD to SC Raider, JP, Prime, NorCal Raider Rick, Raider Rat, Silver Sunshine, Rip Raider, Raider Autumn Angel, Commish Jr., and myself. Our mission in 2018, paint the motherfucking world silver and black. Thank you for joining me. As always appreciate it. New, old, my band of pirates. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. Raider Nation Report. We are going to get into a solid hour of everything silver and black. Talk who our number one draft pick should be. Gruden's getting announced tomorrow. Might be some coordinators announced tomorrow. We're going to have all kinds of crazy news to talk about. So join me tomorrow night. One solid hour. We won't even talk. We don't give two shits about any of these other teams tomorrow. Tomorrow night, it's all silver and black. Solid 60 minutes. Bring it. Whatever you got question-wise, let's do it. Thank you for joining me, and I'm out. Peace. Love. Raider Nation.